First Commonwealth Bank. And joining us in the studio this morning, Braun, the C.O.O. of the IRMC Physician Group. Welcome to Indiana in the Morning, Brett.
Thank you.
Now, you've been over at IRMC now, what, about 3 or 4 years?
It's coming up on 4 years here in the fall.
Okay, and you are originally from the state of California.
Yep, sunny Southern California.
And, well, this is our sunny Indiana County weather.
Actually, it is today.
And I'm always interested in how folks that far away make it here to Indiana.
Well, you know what? Everybody always asks me that question, but it's a pretty simple story. My wife is born and raised in Indiana and has some ties to the area, and so that's what brought us back when we had our first daughter. She wanted to get the kids back to the grandparents, and it was a pretty easy decision.
Mm-hmm. How have you enjoyed it so far?
Actually, I had that conversation on the way over here. Indiana is a really nice town, and it's been good to me for the last 4 years, and it's hard to beat. And every time I go back and visit Southern California, I say, wow, I'm so glad I left.
And they say, what are you talking about? Well, tell us a little bit about, you've been very active in the Indiana community, and I understand that you do a little bit of coaching and some volunteering, right?
Yeah, one of the things that was important to me coming back here and working for the hospital was to be involved in the community. So I do participate in the Miracle League here at the Y, and this year I was able to coach my daughter's T-ball team at the Indiana Little League, so that was good. But also just participate in other charities that are important to the hospital as well. So as a leader, I think at the hospital it's important to not only participate in that, but that was in my DNA even prior to that. So
now, in your time here so far in Indiana, the services over at Indiana Regional Medical Center, the providers within the physicians group, that number has steadily increased, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. And when I first arrived here, we had about 26 providers that were employed by the hospital. And fast forward 3.5 years, that number's around 75 providers now. And we really are service line specific, trying to meet all the needs of the community. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, we've had some of the newer doctors on the air here on Indiana in the Morning. They have moved in from other areas, and they are really enjoying the time that they're putting in here at IRMC. A central call center is available. Tell us about that.
Yeah, one of the things that was important to me and to the community would be getting access to care. And heretofore, we didn't really have a centralized scheduling center or call center. And it was important to be able to have a one-stop shop for patients to conveniently book an appointment. And what I encountered sometimes is people couldn't get convenient appointment times. So by creating the call center, centralized call center, we were able to enhance access, and in most cases, same-day access across the system.
So that number, if folks want to jot that down and keep it by their phone, is?
888-452-4762. And it's 888-452-IRMC.
Okay, now is that for any type of medical problem or question? Or
well, not for any type. I mean, of course, we actually have to have the specialty. So, I mean, if you call and we don't have that specialty available, that's not going to be available. But for any employed physician, you can actually get an appointment same day across the system. And if you're not familiar with the doctors that work for IRMC, you can always go to irmcdocs.org. So it's irmcdocs.org, and you can look at our current list of physicians.
And they can also direct you to where you need to go if they don't have that information that you're asking about, right?
Yes.
Now, we've mentioned new doctors coming into IRMC's system. How about some of the specific doctors that have been coming in lately?
Oh, actually, I'm really excited. This is an exciting year coming up here for our fiscal year. And in fact, we have about 7 to 8 new providers coming on board. We have a new sports medicine doctor coming on board, and Brian Stone, and he'll be practicing with Dr. Eric Bone, who many of the people in the community already know, but it's going to actually help us expand that service line. We have a second rheumatologist coming on board, Dr. Neil Mankey, and again, rheumatology in just the Western PA area, there's a shortage of rheumatologists, and so we're actually going to look at expanding that service line throughout Indiana County. We have another family medicine doctor coming on board, and Amy Krieger. And I always am in the thought process, you can never have too many young family practice doctors coming on board. One of the roles that I've taken on here at the hospital, in addition to running the physician group, was playing an active role in recruiting. And part of that recruiting plan is to transform the staff and have a sort of a succession plan for some of the aging providers. And so it's sort of reinvigorating or making certain you have a constant influx of new physicians. I'm really excited about our 2 new OB-GYNs. We have 2 female OB-GYNs, and ever since I've been here, that's been a shortage for us, is having female OB-GYNs. But Dr. Quinice Hurdle and Sonia Panisar will be joining our OB-GYN team. We actually have Dr. Rohit Mehta, who's a critical care and pulmonologist, will be practicing with Dr. Imran Bajwa. And then last but not least, we're going to have Dr. Jonathan Scholl, and for the first time in IRMC's history, we're going to actually have a full-time pain medicine, pain management doctor that will be able to collaborate with all the doctors in town and have a continuum of care for pain management.
Is it a difficult task to recruit folks to come into the system, get them to leave where they are and join us here in Indiana?
It can be. I mean, it varies. I mean, we hire people fresh out of training. We hire people that are in the second or third jobs of their career. It always comes down to, is the town a match? Is the system a match? And it's not rocket science, but at the end of the day, it is a process. And you have to make certain that when people come here to town for a recruiting visit, that they have all the warm fuzzies to say, wow, this is going to be my next home. But I mean, and it all depends on the motivations of the candidates coming in. Do they want to contribute to a system? Is it all about what their contract's going to be? So you try to identify what those needs are and cater to those needs.
And of course, you can always tell them that they'll be on Indiana in the Morning, which will probably seal the deal.
Actually, all the time. That's actually that. You know what? I tell you, I did not put that on the list. I'm going to have to start putting that on the list now, as you will get on the radio.
Now, you mentioned that a number of new family doctors are opening up practice, and folks that have been around Indiana County know that, you know, we've had some family doctors here for a long time, but, well, they're stepping out now because they're reaching retirement age or moving on.
Yeah, and that's I think the plan is to sort of have that go forward plan. So when those primary practice doctors do plan to retire, I mean, I would love to have them retire till forever. But the reality is not everybody's going to stick around forever. So it's important to have the plan for the community.
Braun, the Chief Operating Officer of the IRMC Physician Group, our guest this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. We've heard about a new focus on pain management that will be coming this fall. What can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah, actually, Dr. Scholl, who I mentioned earlier in our recruiting plans, wonderful young man. He has his medical degree from UPMC, did his training in pain management at Allegheny or AHN, and has a master's degree in healthcare management from Carnegie Mellon. Nice young man, and he wants to come in and transform the system. I think with the opiate crisis in the area, it's important to have a game plan other than just saying, hey, go to that clinic and get treated. It's important to have a collaborative effort. So when I mentioned the continuum of care, I believe our pain management specialists will be working with the family practice doctors, the psychiatric doctors, the sports medicine, the physiatry. So you're going to have multi-specialty approach to treating pain and hopefully alleviate some of the crisis we're currently in, but just a better way of treating patients. We're fortunate enough at IRMC to have the resources to also have social services, to have nutrition services. Those are things that have not been typically managed in the pain continuum, and those are things we're looking forward to doing.
Now, Brett, when you came from the state of California, what were some of the things that surprised you about the Indiana community and about IRMC?
Wow, that's a good question. I remember when I arrived here, probably 6 months after I arrived here, I sent an email to all my friends back home and said, "Hey guys, here's some of the things I've done since I've been here. I went to Groundhog Day. I started shopping at Walmart and shot a gun." So those are all 3 new things that happened to me when I moved here. But I think that the nice quaintness of it. I feel that Indiana is an old piece of Americana that is not around there anymore, and I do feel that the community is supportive of each other, and that's something I wasn't around in California. So those are some of the benefits.
Any new foods that you've had since you've been here that were new to you?
Pierogies.
See,
I never knew what a pierogi was. And then I think I was at a party and someone had served me halushki. So that was never a big staple. Cookie tables also was a new introduction.
For weddings?
Yeah, we didn't have cookie tables at weddings in California. So cookie tables were new to me.
Now, I imagine that you've changed your sports allegiance now to the Pittsburgh teams? Maybe?
Yes, actually, yes. I love the Pirates. I love going to the ball games there. I'm a Steeler fan. And I'm kind of a dual Pennsylvania fan. I like the Eagles as well. So
Okay, that's good. We've been hearing some wonderful things about the Aftercare program where patients are seen in the IRMC emergency room. There's also follow-up calls and courtesy check-ins, right?
Well, not just courtesy. It is courtesy check-ins with the day after visits. But the reason the Aftercare program was started was when people go to the ER, they're asked to follow up with a doctor, and they're given orders of getting prescriptions afterwards. But there really wasn't follow-up to those visits. So what we decided to do is create an aftercare program where we call the patients the day after their visit and ask them, how are you doing? Have you been able to get your medication to take care of the issue? And if you haven't set up your follow-up visit with a specialist or a family practice doctor, could we help you do that and facilitate that? And so for me, it's just going one step above and beyond to ensure the quality of that care is followed through, but then also it's an element of customer service. So for me, I think it's a win-win. I mean, you're focusing on the patient from both a quality standpoint and a satisfaction standpoint.
And the growth of IRMC over the past 15 or 20 years has really been phenomenal. I think we had the release last week of some new cancer programs that are taking place with some folks around the area as well.
Yeah, well, first off, I mean, the growth of the hospital over the last 20 years, I mean, I can attribute it to a lot of things, but I would be remiss to say, or it has to be given a lot of credit to Steve Wolf.
Right.
Steve Wolf has done a phenomenal job in making certain that we've been relevant going forward. And this oncology joint venture is just one more feather in his cap to make us relevant going in the future. And it was important to create this joint venture because we wanted to be able to provide cancer care to all patients with all insurances. And the way in which we structure the joint venture with UPMC, all patients in the community can have cancer care.
Now, from what you've seen, what you've worked with since you've been here in Indiana at IRNC, are there some goals, some things that you would like to see occur?
There's a lot of things I'd like to see occur. I mean, I'd like to see the continuation of adding service lines, the growth of service lines, making certain that people feel comfortable to come to Indiana for all their care. We still have people that will go to Pittsburgh for certain things, and I understand that if we don't add the service line. But if we have the service line here, we want the community to feel confident and comfortable to come here. And I mean, I would almost like to have a campaign. If everybody remembers the old Mia Hamm commercial, I can do anything better than you can do, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we can do anything better than they can do, and I want people to feel confident they can come here to Indiana for care.
Well, I'm sure that we're going to see even more improvements, even more expansion and growth over the next years at Indiana Regional Medical Center. Must be exciting to be part of that.
It's very exciting, and I'm glad to be here.
Brent Braun, the Chief Operating Officer of the IRMC Physicians Group, thanks so much for stopping by today.
Thank you.
Enjoy our California-like weather
I will.
we have
Thank you
here
very
in
much.
Indiana County. And we will continue with more of Indiana in the Morning here on the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160, 101.1 FM. Don't forget, we're going to be taking another look at